Good evening, everyone. From me, Brent Graham. It's 9 o'clock on a Wednesday night, and it's time for the Hollywoodbets Durban July betting preview. The biggest horse racing meeting in South Africa in the calendar year, bar absolutely none, and we can't wait to get into the action. I have already done a little bit of a preview with Chris Sturdy that is available in the link down below. And before I even introduce the guests, let me just point out to you, we're going to be giving away 500 Rand Hollywood bet vouchers today, and we'll give them away on the show through a lucky draw system. The only thing you have to do to enter is to make a comment in the live chat at some point. Any comment at any point, you can only win one voucher. You'll get into that. At the same time, let me introduce my guest now at the bottom. He's the general manager of the Killarney Country Club when he's not playing the horses and sports betting. And it's Little Woozy, our regular on the Durban July show. Little Woozy, Jason, great to have you on the show, mate. And you were just telling me before the show you want to give away a couple of 2 balls to the Killarney Country Club.
Yeah, Brent, it's... how's it to the Good for the Game guys again? And it's always a privilege to be on the show again. It's a pity we only do this once or twice a year. From Killarney, it's been a whirlwind change for me in terms of being into back into golf and out of sports betting. But yeah, we'll donate a couple of 2 balls at the end in terms of your lucky draws. Guys can come have a game there, come have a beer, and just come introduce themselves, because there's nothing better than a community, and yours Good for the Game community. For me, I'd like to meet a few of the guys, and I think that's a good way for me particularly to introduce myself to them anyway.
Excellent. Well, I'll tell you what I'm going to do with those, Jason. We'll run those in the comments underneath, because although we got live viewers joining us tonight, we're also going to have a lot of people who are going to watch this preview afterwards. So we'll give them that opportunity as well, probably to win something in the live chat if they're in Joburg. And someone who's not in Joburg at the moment, in fact, he's many thousand kilometers away from Joburg. He's sitting in the UK. It's Alan Moscrop, a.k.a. Southpaw, on the Good for the Game forum. We know him as the feature race specialist as well, and there's no bigger feature than the Durban July. Alan, great to have you on, mate.
Thanks, Brent. No, good to be back. Thanks for inviting me back, and good to be on with you and Jason. Looking forward to going through the July. It's going to be it looks like a really open race this year, and hopefully we can do a little bit better than last year. My main pick last year finished well downfield, and actually we seem to have better joy across the few of us on the earlier races in the card. So hopefully we can find something in the July, and also give us a couple of each way value bets in the undercard, which there's some decent prices there as well.
I'll also just to mention to the guys, be talking to Oracle Rugby, but he also loves his horse racing on Friday evening, and he keeps reminding me he picked, I think, a horse called, was a Touch of Grace at 20-1 in the 12th race last year. And I must admit, that got me out of it, a hell of a hole I was in on the day. So we'll be talking to Oracle as well, and let's hope we can find a few roughies. But let's get going with the July itself. The ruling favorite at the moment, and Alan, I'll start with you. It's number 7, See It Again, at 7-2. I know you're not generally a favorite backer, and you'll probably make a case to beat it, but what are your thoughts on this favorite?
Massively talented 3-year-old. Obviously won the Daily News a few weeks ago quite impressively. It's carrying a bit of weight for a 3-year-old, which does worry me a little bit. I think it's carrying 56.5, which is quite a bit, given there are some 4-year-olds, 3.5 kgs less than that, and some decent 4-year-olds. So that is my concern a little bit. But the horse last few runs has done nothing wrong. Strike is up, which will be I'm assuming it's going to be his last July, and certainly his last season riding in South Africa. So I think the price is short, a bit too short for me. I looked at this race and thought there shouldn't be anything less than 5-1. That's my only concern. It's 7-2.
Yes.
Over the years, I think there's been better 7-2 shots and See It Again. But I think he's going to have a lot of support in the day. Mace Roberts going for his first win as a trainer. I'm just a bit concerned about the weight and just some of the weight advantage some of the 4-year-olds have over him. So in the top 3, top 4 for me, but you're right. I'm not a favorite punter. It's not going to be getting too much of my money. It's probably going to be more of a swinger horse. One for the quartet as well. There'll be a big quartet pool on Saturday. So not for me for the win though, unfortunately.
Yeah, Chris was telling me some huge quartet. Might even be looking at up to 10 million, I think he said. Jason, if that doesn't sound too crazy in the quartet pool, what do you make of the favorite Little Woozy?
Well, the likely quartet pool is 10 bar. I think the quartet pool will get to about 12 bar, because that's how open the races are. I fully agree with Alan when he says that the horse is too short in the betting. You can get 7-2 at some bookmakers and 9-2 at others. Mace Roberts has come out and said he's the best 3-year-old in the country. His worry is the weight. So, when the trainer and an analyst says the same thing, you've got to stand up and take notice. I do believe he brings the best form lines into the race for the 3-year-olds. So for me, whatever is run around him must be really thrown into your quartets. Striker Stratum, Alan, if Striker wins it on See It Again this year, he'll be in next year's race, because then he's going to be out to beat Anton Marcus's record. So right now, Striker's got 4 wins and Anton's got 5. So let's just see how it plays out. It's always about these jockeys. They love to have a go at each other and all the rest of it. But for me, See It Again, when I say worthy favourite, you could pick a few horses here to be worthy favourites. Bookmakers always tend to go with the 3-year-olds because they think the 3-year-olds are the stronger crop. But there is and has been a lot of money for a 4-year-old going 53 kgs that has really been pumped in from like 10, 15 to 1 in different bookmakers into 5 to 1. Horse called Winchester Mansion, I think primed and ready for the race. But I still believe.
Let's move into Winchester Mansion now, Jace. What are your thoughts on that one?
Well, I think a massive runner. I think it's one of the horses to beat in the race. I mean, drawn. So odds are always the worst at night. Drawn 4, Machinyama on top. There's been a lot of money. 4-year-old carrying 53. You got to bring him to the race. He loves it. He loves to finish fast. He won very well last time out. Very unlucky in the I think it was the Daily News, the run before. And as I say, I don't have my glasses on, so please, I'm apologizing. Behind Pacaya, I don't really like Pacaya. I'm not sure why, but I just think this horse is, you follow the Crawford money. When money comes for Crawford horses, they're normally there and thereabouts. So for me, in terms of not the value, because 11-2 is still short. The guys that got on it like between your 10s and 12 to 1s have done well. This for me is one of those horses like a Power King that has come into the race very well handicapped and will definitely be right there and will be definitely in my quartet.
Right. Well, thanks to all the guys in the live chat coming in with their winners there. We got quite a range of horses. Dave the King coming up a couple of times. We'll talk about that one later, certainly. Now, Alan, I can tell you Chris likes Winchester Mansion. He's looked at it. I'm not sure if he got the bigger prices or not, but he likes Winchester Mansion. And you're nodding there. Is this one that you can agree with?
I mean, there's a lot of money's come for it. I think I saw this morning 11-2. It might be a bit bigger. 11-2 you've got on the screen there, so it might be a little bit bigger with some other bookies. But I think it's done everything right. It's got that magic low mass 4-year-old, which, as Jason said, Power King, and there's been others who've come close with that kind of combination. And I think Mike de Kock has pointed that out in a couple of his interviews about that seems to be the way that a lot of the top trainers are trying to place their horse. Just manage the handicap, manage the rating, get it into the July, not too exposed. So I'm not sure what the going is going to be like on Saturday. I know there's been a bit of rain about, but it's supposed to be dry between now and then. If there's a bit of cut in the ground, if you look at his form line, he loves the soft, so that will play into his hand as well. I think I could see him starting joint favourite. I think the way the money's been coming, I could see it starting joint favourite, probably around the 5 to 1 mark. So I give it a big chance as well.
Excellent. Well, Denver asking about Dave the King. Denver, hang on tight. We are going to go to Dave the King, and after Dave the King, we'll probably then just have a general look at the field, but we'll run through. He is in the top 6 in the betting. But Alan, let's go to the next horse at 7 to 1 in the betting without question. Your thoughts on this one?
Yeah, so it's one of 5 runners from the Snaith Yard, and the one challenge I have with the Snaith Yard, I have a terrible record of picking the right one from the yard. Whenever they've got a few runners in a big race, which is more often than not the case, I sometimes go with the wrong one, and I'm at risk of doing it again on this one. But I actually prefer the stablemate. I prefer the stablemate Pacaya, and I know Jason's already mentioned he's not a fan of it. I know Faree's got the pick, and he's picked this one, but There's just something about it. I just don't. It's gone from a merit rated 80, unplaced in a merit rated 80 race 6 months ago to in the July at 7-1. Now its form recently is strong, but it's massive improvement. I think it needs to improve again on Saturday. I always seem to find the wrong one with the Snaith runners, and I think this one for me just didn't jump out as one of his strongest entries in recent years. And 7-1, it's not tempting me in at the moment.
Right, Jason. 7-1, tempting you?
No, not at all. Not in the slightest. I think this horse should be 10, 12-1. It's finished behind See It Again on numerous occasions, albeit the gallop was good, and there were a few good gallops and a few poor gallops. When we say that, a few gallops that were underwhelmed. Richard Fourie has chosen it, but they say he's chosen it, but there's always the old adage of who gets a bit of money here and there to ride their horses. So I'm not saying that he's on the right one or has chosen the wrong one. I've been wrong a few times with Pacaya. I'm actually going to change my quartet thinking and leave this one out and actually put Pacaya in, because I agree with, and I do think that this was on form and on paper can't beat the favorite. So why would I be taking 7-1 about a shot, a horse where I could be taking 4-1 about a favorite that we're also still not in agreement with? So for me, without question, can he win? He's got probably the best jockey in the country right now, Richard Fourie. He's got a top trainer who knows how to place them. I can never get Snaith right. I can never get Stratum or a few of the others right either. But for me, if I have to extend my quartet now in terms of a box quartet, I'll throw him in. But for me, he's got a bit of work to do to win.
Right. Well, let's go on to the stable companion now at 10-1, Jason. You say you'd rather move that one into your quartets.
Yeah, I've never been a fan of Pacaya because you always look at the hype around horses, and this horse is never delivered. And when I say that, yes, he won a good race. His last 2 wins have been decent. So maybe he's finding form, and maybe Justin Snaith has found something that he's been missing. But for me, I'd rather go Winchester Mansion, just based on their last meeting. How I thought there might have been a race review in terms of a little bit of interference in the last couple of last 50 or 100 meters. I think this will be finishing quickly, but it all depends on the pace of the race. I know Dave the King's going to go to the front, and will there be a pace? I don't think there's going to be a pace. So the horses that come from the back, especially when it's wet, your Durban's had cyclones and whatever you want to call it. They've had a lot of problems down there. So the Oaks coming from the back will have a lot to do. So Pacaya I respect, but he's not in my top sort of 3 or 4 selections.
Right, and obviously, Alan, you've alluded to it. You fancy this one for a big run.
I actually fancy another of the Snaith runners slightly more in terms of
another one. Okay, so I misread you there. Okay, so
Alan, make up your mind, bro.
In terms of the other Snaith one I like for its price, but we'll get to that one later. This one, I think he gets 2 kilograms in favor on the Winchester Mansion run. So they're both level weights. So they're 53 kgs on Saturday. I went and looked at some of the older interviews that they've had with Richard Fourie when he galloped it a few months ago down the Cape. They were very bullish back then. I don't know what's changed, why he's gone for the stablemate. But I think this one comes in slightly under the radar. 10-1. Probably wouldn't take any less than that if I was offered a shorter price. I'll give it a big chance. It's in my top 4, top 5. But like I said, I think there's another Snaith runner who I'm hoping can pop up at a bigger price.
So Brent, let's go to that before you go to safe passage. Let's change the form book here.
Yeah, 100%. Where are we going?
Let's talk about Pomp and Power.
Is that the other one? Okay.
Well, that's his choice. If
And can we give? Let's let Alan take it away for us.
I think this horse, you know, the biggest, the classiest race that we've had in the last kind of in this season is the Met, and that was the top race, the best horses in the country running Jet Dark, Comedy Ding. And if you watch that race, now so it's a different course, it's a different feel for the horse, but the way Pomp and Power came from, I think it's drawn in 17 or 18 or 6, the widest draw in that in the Met, the way he came from off the pace, and the amount of traffic he found the last 150, 200, this horse could have won. I think should have won.
Should never have lost. Should never have lost.
Yeah, it just hit. It just got. They all rushed to the outside rail, and it just had nowhere to go. And there's a few like that. Rascallion was similar as well. So, and they know this horse has got an issue with its temperament on a big day, with the crowd and the noises and stuff. So I don't think they'd be bringing it down if they hadn't managed to crack that somehow, or certainly improved it. And I watched the gallop, and I know there was it seemed to get a little bit spooked in the gallop, but I know Justin Snaith had an explanation for that. The horse looks amazing. It's one of the best looking horses you'll see. It wasn't a fast gallop, you know. They kept it in reserve, you know. They didn't push it out that much, but I just think on that Met run against the best horses in the country at level weights, where it should have won, if it comes in to the July with that sort of form or that sort of ability, this horse has the ability, and Snaith has said that on record. This horse has the ability on its day. It's just whether it can do it on the day and whether it gets unsettled on the day. But I think 20 to 1, 25 to 1, if you shop around, maybe get a bit bigger on the day on the tote, you can't get harmed at that price. And he's got a jockey on board who probably is going to suit it, going to give it a rigorous ride as it turned for home, kind of Marinesco type ride. And I think he's going to be coming late. Whether he can get there, I'm not sure, but just can't see anything wrong with the price. It's worth a go.
What I love about the show is I generally come in very undercooked. I haven't actually, aside from knowing a few of the names, I'm very much there for the taking. And when Alan speaks like that, I'm taken. I'm certainly going to have something on this horse. Jason, you're going to knock another one out the quartet to stick Pomp and Power in?
No, I think Pomp and Power's a big runner. I think last year's run in this particular race, where he actually almost went to the front, cost him the race. He was very well regarded last year. I think last year he was 6 to 1 in this race to win. So my only concern is obviously the temperament. When we had the gallop, Justin Snaith actually went down with a work rider on Pomp and Power to try and settle him, and he did. And it was a decent gallop. I won't turn anybody away from having a bet on Pomp and Power. I think he's got a chance, and at 20, 25 to 1, he's got a massive chance. And, you know, guys, we talk about certain things with superstitions. I mean, Greg Bortz, what he's done for South African horse racing in the last year, he deserves a race like this. He's the main owner of Pomp and Power, and for me, I wouldn't be surprised to see him in the number 1 box. Am I sticking him in the quartet? I'm not sure yet, because obviously limited funds, but a definite runner. I don't mind the draw of 18, because last year he also had a wide draw, but he went to the front and tried to take things on that way. And I think Bernard is a stronger jockey. Bernard can get him tucked in a lot earlier towards the middle back of the field. And if he produces that turn of foot that he did at Kenilworth, he'll win by 2 or 3 lengths.
Right. Well, then, Jason, give me another horse to bring up here. We won't go in order now. We've covered most of the top ones. Anyone else you want to discuss? Dave the King. That's been a very popular pick, even amongst the guys in the live chat. So let's bring up Dave the King. And there's been some money for this horse. I'm sure, Jason, I saw some 16 to 1 and now into 25 to 2.
Okay, so I got 18 to 1. Very happy with that. Finished second behind the current favourite, i.e. See It Again, and its last start. This horse wasn't stopping. So he's changed stables from Vaughan Marshall to Mark de Kock. He's only had 3 runs for Mark. Even Vaughan said, very special horse, just unfortunately couldn't get the best out of him. Mark has gone on record as saying, very talented, robust, you know, a horse that can really take things by the balls, excuse my French. Personally, at Killarney, I'm very privileged to have a lot of very decent members. One of them happens to be Larry Nestat, who owns Dave the King, and they're expecting a massive run. I think the fact that he's getting a kg now from the favorite brings him right into the race. Am I saying it's a good thing to win? No, but if any of you guys are going out there, your top 4, top 5, top 6, this horse is going to be in the race. He's going to be up front. He's going to go look to make the pace. He's not going to have, he shouldn't have any of those, what do you call it? There's nothing for him in front to dodge. So for me, this horse, I think he's a massive runner. I think he's finding form at the right time. Everybody says the best gallop of the day, and Safe Passage is a poor galloping, poor track horse. But just the way that Dave the King stretched out, take the time away, take whatever else away, I make this horse one of the horses to beat. I really do. I think this is a massive runner. Like I said, see it again. Form lines for me and the 3-year-olds are the strongest. This horse with the weight, with the 1 kg, brings him right in the race. He's not going to be stopping. If anything beats him, they'll come past him in the last 50 or 200. So for me, this is one of the best place bets of the race, and I'll be having a few rand on that.
I must admit, I absolutely love the name, perhaps because my dad's name is David, and I knew straight away my mom, she hasn't seen the field yet, I don't think, but I just know that this is going to be the horse that she will be on. Alan, what do you think of Dave the King?
I think Jason's hit the nail on the head there. On its last run, if you look at last 50 meters, it was creating a gap between the rest of the field. Although it was behind See It Again, the rest of the field were falling behind. So it was finished runner-up, but those two, for me, were a class above the rest of that field. So I think you're right. That it was sprinting a few runs ago. Now it's going over to 2-2. Maybe there is a bit of an unknown on the trip. I think De Kock, he's been quite transparent. That they don't know, but he's probably going to go out and lead. I think that in my view, I think he's going to try and get out lead or one off the pace. 1 or 2 off the pace. And as you say, it's a big, long striding horse, and big improvement. At the price. Probably about the sort of price where you'd still get involved, I think it's a big runner. I think it's an interesting one with the jockey bookings, the international jockeys on the stablemate. We'll come to that one a bit later. That wasn't in terms of gallops. If you take your bets on the gallops, you won't be backing the stablemate. But I think the gallops are there for different reasons for different trainers, and I think Safe Passage is also still a runner. Just not. No,
I think Safe Passage is a massive runner. It's been backed in from 18 to 1 into like 6-7 to 1. So obviously, like they say, it's not a horse that does well while just running. So just for summer, he's there for race day things, and I totally respect that. I just think Dave the King, in terms of how, and you hit the nail on the head. Between the first two, the third and fourth horse were a few back. I also think that See It Again is almost a little bit like a Pocket Power. He does have a flat spot. He takes a while to get going, but when he gets going, he flies. So if that flat spot just takes a little bit longer to get going on Saturday, I think Dave the King's I'll make Dave the King the horse to beat.
Jason, question from Kevin Turner, KT on the Good for the Game forum. This guy, if we think South is the feature race specialist, KT's the 100 to 1 specialist. He comes in with some really big prices sometimes in the forum there. He's asking, who do you think is going to set the pace? Will it be Silver Darling? Would Dave the King potentially set the pace?
I think Dave the King will go to the front and set the pace at his own fractions. You got to understand, Mark's very shrewd there. I think maybe Silver Darling might try and get ahead of Dave the King because you've got 5 versus 2 in terms of trainers here. But the only way that Dave the King is going to actually win the race for me is if he sets the pace. So for me, Dave the King is going to the front, and I don't expect a hostile pace. I think it's going to be a nice cruise pace because he's not proven over the distance. He's done that Dating News 2000. There's a few question marks about it. So Craig Zackey's not going to really push. Something goes past him, he'll let him go past him. But for me, Dave the King is the horse that should set the pace and probably will.
Denver Governor agreeing with you there. Al, what are your views on the pace?
Yeah, I think Dave the King will go up front. I saw someone ask the question directly to Didikock, and he said himself, if you've got no problems, if he lands up in front, you've got no problem with that at all. So yeah, I think, based on that run in the Daily News, they'll try the same. They'll try the same tactic, I think. And I backed the stablemate in the Daily News, Shoemaker, and couldn't keep with the stablemate at all.
And Alan, there's obviously a few horses left. We're not going to necessarily run through everyone unless you guys have got some other fancies. What's the next horse you'd like me to bring up?
There's a few which there's a couple I like. Rascallion, maybe. I know someone's already mentioned that. I think KT mentioned that one. It's also in my.
Very happy with Rascallion.
Yeah, in my top few. I think again, he was in that Met race, also unlucky. Hit a bit of traffic himself. The prep runs, I think, were interesting. I think they were kind of shrewdly placed prep runs. He gave 10 kgs to Winchester Mansion, and then 8 kgs to Pacaya in that Greyville 1900. It only beat a length, so that was eye-catching. I think much better off the weights now, only giving 4.5 to both of those. So it's a bit of class there. Not a great draw, 15, but I think he's a big runner. I think Vaughan's been trying to win this race for the last few years. He's come close, and I know Rascallion's had some issues, but I think on the Met run, if I'm respecting Pomp and Power, I'm respecting Rascallion in this race as well.
200%. I think Rascallion, based on its gallop, was very impressive. I think it's a massive runner. I think you've got to include it in all bets. For me, I hop on this horse every year, but for me, the best gallop was Do It Again. Our good old 8-year-old friend that's won the race, never been unplaced. So for guys that are looking for value of a class horse that's at 33-1, Do It Again. You won't not get a run for your money. He's going to be in the top 6 turning for home. He's going to give it a go. If he's good enough, he'll go through with it. Gavin Larena jumped. He got off it and said, wow, this horse is still feeling amazing. So, you got to look at the likes that Do It Again. Time flies, it would be a fairy tale for the Hollywood Syndicate and Anthony Delpeche and Owen Heffer and the team if that won. Every time they had that little panel after the gallops, Anthony just kept on coming back to Time Flies. So, those are the other horses I would talk about, are the likes of number 3, Time Flies, which still got to prove itself. Do It Again. And, if you, my Gauteng guys, we Gauteng boys up here. And we all like good bunny chows. And there's a horse called Son of Raj. So if this horse gets going,
14-1.
He won the Derby. He won the Derby very easily. If the last run wasn't just a run, if you know what I mean, based on the form before that, he comes into the race too. It's a very open race, guys. That's why I like what Ellen said right in the beginning. A horse to be 7-2. The favorite should be 5-6-1 in my view.
And Jason, anything else? If we skim down the list there, Billy Bowlegs. I think it's such a nice name. Yeah. Which everyone I've run into this week fancies it, but I think it's purely on the name. Anything else from really down the page here on the betting that can potentially challenge? I've got the live betting up here.
Billy Bowlegs, if it comes back to its best form, it's got a runner, but you've got Sean Veal taking the ride now, where Lorena's taken another ride. I know the weight comes into effect in that. I can't have Billy Bowlegs. I think probably the biggest outside I can have, based on what I've seen. I'm just going over pages here, guys, in my computer form. Because, like I said, I'm getting old now. I need glasses.
You're looking for Bless My Stars.
While you're doing that, I'll bring Alan in. Alan, what have you got for us right down from the bottom that could perhaps surprise?
Bless My Stars.
Yes, that's the hook.
So this one, I think I fancied it quite early in the anti-post, and I've taken a ridiculous price, way shorter than what it is right now, just as a small interest. I always like to have something anti-post. I I think it's bigger now. It's 40-1. It's probably bigger, even bigger elsewhere. This one obviously gets in on its win in the Fillies Classic. It's super fit. It only ran. I think it was two and a half weeks ago. It was a really impressive win that last run. It was over. I think it was over that 1600 or the 1800 at Turffontein, but it beat a good horse called Feather Boa, who I've always rated. And yeah, I just think
runs later.
What's that? Yeah, runs. Yeah, runs on later on the card.
Later.
And bless my stars, I just think it's 3-year-old filly, drawn 1, 52 kilograms. Sean Terry, I just think this one's a big runner at the price. You don't have to get heavily involved at 40-1 plus, but I give it a chance. I'll actually be keeping it I'll have it in my top 6. I'll have it with potentially a couple of swingers, maybe with the favorite. But I think, big price to me for a Terry runner, drawn 1, carrying 52, even though she's a filly taking on older males as well.
No, I must say, Jason, you talk about him. Sorry, carry on.
No, I was going to say my big value. He's going, but that one for me, it's Time Flies. I mentioned the horse already. It's 60-1 at Hollywood. So I've never been a believer of these things in terms of fairy tales, but just listening to the way Anthony Delpeche spoke, they're very confident of a big run, and at 60-1. Looking for a bit of value to add to your quartet. That's not a bad one to throw in, as well as Bless My Stars. I won't be leaving either of those out my quartet. I'm going to take an 8-horse quartet boxed, whatever it is, for my 200 rand, get my percentage, watch the day. Like I said, I think the quartet will get to 11-12 million.
Right, it's a nice big one. And just, talking of an open race, I can't recall the last time I saw a July where you've got the biggest underdog at like 40-1. I mean, you've normally got like 66-1s and 100-1s. And I guess that's just another sign that, it's just one of those races where perhaps anything could pop out of the woods to win it. Alan Mavis saying going for number 7, but number 8, what's your opinion on that one? I think that was called Second Base, was it, if I'm not mistaken? Number 8, Silver, is it Silver Darling? Let me just check I get the horse right here.
Silver Darling.
Silver Darling. What are your thoughts on that one, Al?
Number 8, Silver Darling. Number 13, Second Base. I think someone was asking about Second Base. I think it's a Turffontein specialist. I don't think, I'm not sure it's run at Greyville before. I think it has early in his career, but to me, Second Base, Puerto Manzano, good gallopers, Turffontein specialist, more on the Highveld than down in KZN. So I don't really give it a chance. 13, Second Base won't be my permutations at all.
Alan, can I ask you a question
on July?
I just want to ask Alan a question on the horse.
Sure.
Because it's one of those horses that it's always had class, but it's July. Rain in Holland. Where are you with Rain in Holland, number 17?
Yeah, well, we're talking, just skimming through my notes, anything I picked up. I think I had a great career last season. My only concern, looking at his last few runs, is it hasn't got quite the turn of foot that maybe it had as a 3-year-old. I think Kamalo tends to get a pick of the rides or gets a lot of offers for a ride in this race, and he's riding. So obviously he won it last year. So carrying a little bit of weight, I think for a filly. I think she's quite gutsy. I'm just not sure kind of where she'll be placed in the race. Is she up at the pace? Is she coming from off them? If she's stuck in the middle, it could be quite a tough race for a filly. I just don't think she's got the turn of foot. Drawn 17, one to include, I think, from Terry. But yeah, I actually prefer the Stablemates at a much bigger price.
No, I agree with you. I just you look at these races, and especially the July, you can make a case for every horse. Whether it's superstition, whether it's throwing the bones like they do in Durban, whether it's planting a knife into a banana tree. I think what the message is to the punters out there, it's an open race. Go with your gut. Alan's given his top selection. I've given my top selection. Brent's going to lump on all of our selections, and then say he won 10 grand on the day. So I think that's where we at with the main race.
Yeah, I mean, I love swingers and stuff like that on the July because they also tend to pay quite a lot. I mean, I can think of no better swinger coming in than Pomp and Power and David King.
100%. And with respect, like I say, I'm very privileged to have a few people at the club that have really supported my new journey. But it's very uncanny that every morning when I see Mr. Nestad, he's showing me his horse winning in Australia, his horse winning in Ascot. He's finished 4 times. He's finished second 4 times in the July. It's one of the ones he wants to win.
Right. Well, we're going to move on to the other races now, but let's give away 3 of those 100 Rand vouchers at the moment. And I'm going to share my screen here. Because I've also made a comment, if I for some reason pop up good for the game as a winner, we will do a redraw. But you can only it is set that you can only win once. So I'm going to go on there and let's see who our first winner of a 100 Rand Hollywood bet voucher is. Don't stop on good for the game.
And again, please.
And Kevin Turner, KT, is the first winner of a 100 Rand. Well done to KT. And now we're going to go again. And this is our second winner. And guys, just email me, brent@goodforthegame.co.za. Johan Esterhazen is our second winner. And we're going to do 2 more at the end of the show as well. So there's still time. If you haven't entered yet, make a comment. You can go into the draw. And we'll see who our third winner of the 100 Rand voucher is. It is Quinn. I hope I pronounced that right, but well done. You've won the third 100 Rand voucher there. Right, gents, that was the 3 winners. We got 2 more to give away. So, Tass, I see you've made your first comment now. You will be eligible. You will be in that final draw for the remaining 2 100 Rand vouchers. Let's get going, though, and I'm going to actually share screen again because now I'm going to go and just share the betting, and we'll just skim through these races and see what the guys fancy. So I'm just going to go back and share the Hollywood screen again, but this time we're going to jump to, I've just got the set on, I've got to get all the settings right here, but we're going to go to race number 1. And Alan, let's start with you in the first race. Anything catch your eye there?
Yep, I've got one in the first, Divine Moonlight. Can't see the betting yet. It should be about 20 to 1, give or take. Keegan DeMilo retains the ride.
20 to 1. 20 to 1.
You've got the 20 to 1, yeah. So you've got the champion jockey taking a ride, retaining it. That's normally tells you something, not all the time. Traveled really well last time out over at Greyville, leading comfortably with about 300 meters to go, and then just fell away right at the end, beaten by a good sort. Meets the same horse again in the race, which is a favorite, I think, Secret Identity. So, I think drop back and trip slightly from the 14 to the 13, 20 to 1. I'll give it a chance. No harm at the price with the jock taking the ride again.
Right, Jason, anything for you in the opener?
No, listen, guys. I mean, these 2-year-old races, I tend to always get them wrong. I think the horse that could improve on its last start that's had a race is American Graffiti. Obviously, should be quietly fancied. I do think that the last run was all wrong. So for me, that would be a horse that I would watch. I'm not going to have a bet in the opening race. I will shout for Alan for Divine Moonlight. I just think these 2-year-olds, especially on July Day, I mean, guys, besides the July, there were 432 horses that were entered into the races on the July, which is it's a testament to the quality of the race day. For me, I'll watch the first race. I'll probably still be at the office of the first race, shouting Divine Moonlight home for Alan.
Well, don't feel sorry for Jason because his version of the office is the 19th hole there at the Kalani Country Club. Jason, let's get on to the second race. And anything for you there?
Second race, same sort of thing. I thought Jerusalem Rain must have a chance. I thought that was a decent horse. Obviously, Fortune Yard, who's now moved to Australia. They've got a few runners left in South Africa. I thought that was a runner. I haven't looked at the pricing on the first couple of races, I must be honest. I thought that was a runner. And then, the number one horse, the Main Defender, I think that's done nothing wrong and should be the horse to beat. Obviously, looking at Jermaine Morraj's tips here, I've gone 1/2 here, but looking for other value, these 2-year-old races, they can throw up so many different curveballs. I would be starting with a few horses in a bar pot here. I'd probably be putting 4 or 5 horses in a bar pot just to get through the first leg. It's not my type of race to get involved in.
Right, and Alan, yourself in the second? Is Alan still there? Looks like Alan may have frozen there.
He's just thinking a bit.
I was going to say, I wasn't sure if it was me because I'm getting signals that my Wi-Fi is not better. It's amazing how often it is that the guys in the UK battle a bit. I think Alan is going to go out and come back in. So Jason, we'll let Alan comment on the second race when he comes back in. But let's move on to race number 3 there. And anything you fancy in that race? We're now hitting the first leg of the PA, I'm sure, right?
Yeah, well, this is the B grade to the July. So it's the horses that entered but never got in. One-way traffic's favourite. More of a staying type of horse from the Justin Snaith yard. You've got it's not the best field in the world. For me, we got Aragosta who ran second the other day, 7-10, should have won. I like the biggest outside in the race just to give you a bit of a run for your money. A horse number 14 called Seamaster, won its last 2, up in grade, but for me will be running on at them. So I've gone each way in some of my bets with number 14 Seamaster. Hey, Alan's back.
Alan's back. I was saying my Wi-Fi, Alan, has been giving a few problems, and today, funny enough, Chris's as well. But we're always amazed by how sometimes the UK guys have problems with their Wi-Fi. It makes us feel a bit better that we're not totally third world. But welcome back to the show. And anything at the third? I'll pop back to that quickly. Sorry, Alan. I think we might still be battling with Alan a bit. Jason, you could still hear me, eh?
Yeah, I can still hear you. I think Alan's wife's unplugged his Wi-Fi and said it's time to change the nappies of the lattes.
Well, I do have Alan's selections up, so if he doesn't manage to, hopefully he'll try one more time to get back on.
Oh, he's moving.
He's moving. Can you hear us, Alan? Okay, we'll carry on until we hear him come back in. So, yes. Jason, we've done the third race. Let's go into race number 4 now. And that is, of course, the first leg of the pick 6. What sort of pick 6 pool are we expecting?
Well, they tell you on the front of the computer form, 20 million.
Okay, that's a biggie.
That's a pick 6 pool. So, with respect, if I think it gets to 15, I think they've done well. I've done those predictions before. 20 million is a big ask. I know our country is in one of those places where alcohol and betting never dies. But 15 million plus, I think they've done a great job. So race 4 for me is also one of the hard races on the card. I see Jermaine's gone Runaway Song, followed by Future Pearl, Aragon, and White Fang. I do like a few of those selections. I think it's a good staying race. It's a 3,000 meter race, Brent, who's now also like Park Cheesy stagnant. Are you alive there still, sir?
Am I stagnant now?
Yes.
Sorry, I'm just messaging Alan. He's telling me he's just battling with signal. So you carry on.
No, that's fine. I like a horse called Salvatore Mundi, number 12 on the card. I think this horse, for this distance, is primed. He's probably 8-10 to 1. I'll be looking at that at providing, I won't say an upset for the first leg of the pick 6, but definitely putting a nice opening pool and a few losing tickets in there. Future Pearl is probably going to be your favorite, with like I said, Aramagon and White Fang. But I like the Justin Snaith runner, Salvatore Mundi. It's you can probably get 10 to 1 somewhere. 3,000 meters right up its alley, carrying 56 and a half. I think that's the horse to beat. Beat a bit of money, 12 to 1 into 8 to 1. So you also got to follow the money sometimes.
Right, well, let's go on to the first leg of the jackpot. Jason, I'm going to also ask you if you see Alan return. Well, actually, no, I'll have to check every now and again. My monitor, for some reason, isn't working with the show tonight. That's why I'm on the same screen, which makes it a bit challenging here. But yeah, I'll keep checking out for Alan. But what do you like in the fifth race? This, of course, is the first leg of the jackpot. Yeah,
it's tough because I mean, these are the races that I said I hate. So, with respect, Miss Geriatrics hasn't done anything wrong. It's a lovely story. It's a all-female syndicate that have come together and brought this horse with Sean Terry. It's 4 from 4. It's probably going to be most people's bankers on the day. And you don't want to keep talking about other horses. For me, if you're gonna look to banker something in the pick 6 for the day, you bank a Miss Geriatrics number 4 in the fifth race. There are a lot of 2-year-olds that can improve here. White Pearl, Distant Winter, and the like. I've marked a few, but sometimes you got to just stay with what's glaring straight in your face. And for me, Miss Geriatrics is probably, I haven't put it in my bets, but it's probably my bet, the best bet of the day.
Right, that's race number 5. Let's go into the curtain raiser now for the July race number 6. And here, if I have a look at the betting, we've got Gimme Another Chance is the favorite. We're ruling favorite at 18 to 10, and then a bit of a gap to Guy Gibson at 5 to 1.
Yeah, it's the 2 horses I've marked, so you might be able to go a bit light in this race. I think Guy Gibson they come from the Lucky Lad form line, and Lucky Lad is probably going to win the Equus 2-year-old of the year because it's done so well. And for me, give me a chance improving Keegan DeMello up for Mark the Cock, which is also a strange combination. But DeMello's ridden this horse 4 times in a row. I would go light in this leg, purely because the July and the other races are so tough. I'd look at going at probably the 5 and the 13, and just throwing in 1 or 2 others that find betting support on the day. I think it's imperative that punters have a look at what's happening in the morning of the race days, because there's always a lot of late money, a lot of late scope, a lot of late this things. Just like Alan's late to be back on the show, so I'd be going 5 and 13 for.
Sorry guys, sorry about that.
For the
No problem. Al, we got you back now. We'll just quickly have a look at Kevin Turner saying Golden Tatiana there at 10 to 1. And Johan's sharing his treble. He always does this in our rugby show on Thursday nights as well. And he's got a great strike rate. Restkova, Ermelo, and Kayleen, I think it is in race 11. But Adam, we'll jump straight to you now before we just finished the 6th race with Jason. But any comments for you on, let's say, races 2 through to 6? Because we obviously didn't get your views there. And I think we're still battling with Alan. Al, I'm afraid we're going to have to call it. Thanks, mate, for trying. You've tried desperately to come back. Chris, if you are watching still, if you want to pop on, you're more than welcome. I've sent you the link as well. But Jason, in the meantime, it's you and me plowing on regardless. We've obviously spoken about the 7th race, the July. So let's move on to race number 8, and that is Princess Kayla is the 11 to 10 favorite. This must be the shortest favorite on the card. I can't recall seeing anything as short as this.
Yeah, this and Miss Geriatrics are probably the shortest 2-price favorites. Princess Kayla has obviously changed stables and become more of a sprinter. So for me, I'm not worried about the 1600 meters. I do think Desert Miracle will finish in front of Princess Kayla, so the second favorite to beat the favorite. But for me, the value lies in a horse called, let me just turn the page over here, a horse called Golden Hostess. Now, if we look at the ratings of the race, Princess Kayla Desert Miracle top 2 in terms of ratings, the way the race is handicapped. For me, Desert Miracle will beat Princess Keller over 1,600 meters. I always look for the value. Princess Keller is 11 to 10. Desert Miracle probably 2-3 to 1. And the horse that's called Golden Hostess, which is a Candice Bash Robertson horse. She's got a few horses in the race, Marina and a few others. The stable jock has taken the ride in Golden Hostess. This horse is 20 to 1. So for me, this is a very good each way bet. I'm not saying it's a great win bet. I'm just saying, guys, this horse will be running. Will run a decent race and should finish in the top 4.
Right, we're going to try one more time with Alan. Certainly, we're going to get points for persistence here. Al, let's see if it holds up. Any thoughts on the early races, races 2 to 6? Oh, looks like we unfortunately gone with Alan, but I've got some good news though, because coming back in, it's Chris Sturdy, who we did a bit of a preview for earlier. Chris, how are you, mate?
All good, Brent.
And just in time for his race.
Yeah, I think I know why Chris wanted to come in. He's got a share in one of the horses in the 10th race, so no doubt that's why he made his move in here. And Chris, I guess maybe just we won't run through the whole card with you.
I'm just going to switch the TV down.
Okay, 100%. So Chris is going to go switch his TV down. And Jason, when Chris gets back, I'll ask if he fancies anything early in the card, but I'm going to move on to race 9 now. This, of course, will be the final leg of the pick 6.
Brent,
We've
I
got
must be
the
honest,
favorite
this is
struck at 28 to 10.
Before we carry on with the race, I think this has been the most fun podcast we've done, where anything that can go wrong, go right, go sideways, has done that, and you've held it together perfectly. So well done to you. Reward yourself with a beer tomorrow, and hopefully on Saturday afternoon, we can have a beer together when royal victory romps to victory.
I certainly hope so. Yeah, it has been one of those days with Wi-Fi. I mean, Chris and I actually did a preview earlier, and Chris can tell you his Wi-Fi went dead for like 2 5-minute spells where we were actually quite fortunate it wasn't a live show. We could edit the dead bits out. But I mean, I was as fortunate as well to have Jason on here, whose Wi-Fi hasn't given a problem. Patricia coming in, and that means, Patricia, you will be entered in the final draw for the 2 remaining 100 vouchers. And she's saying number 3 time flies race 7. But Chris, before we get into the 9th and final leg of the pick 6, any early fancies that you just want to throw out? And for the July, we won't run back through the races, but anything early on the card you really want to highlight?
I went with Winchester Mansion, and I'm not gonna detract from that. But respect to like what Jason and Alan said about other runners, which can go into quartets the way to play. But yeah, Winchester Mansion for me. I'm not going to move on from that. Right,
and in the 9th race, this will be the final leg of the pick 6, and one before your runner. Anything there in the 9th?
The 9th race. This is the sorry, I haven't got the card because I just jumped in. This is Thunderstruck and Sergey. Yeah, I like Sergey, Brent. Yeah. I like Sergey.
Okay. Anything else from you, Alan, on the pick 6 before we move on to the 10th race? I mean, Jason. Sorry, I'm getting mixed up now. Jace, anything?
No, all good. No, I think it's a tough. I think it's a very tough finish to the pick 6. So I'd go as wide as I can in the last race, and like I said, you either in the 2-year-old races go field and field, or take your chances with the fancied runners like Miss Geriatrics and Co. I do like Sergio. I think it's a massive runner. I do like Thunderstruck. Silver Operator for me is a very interesting horse that they accepted for this race. It's a 1,400 meter specialist. They've stuck blinkers on. Last time they did that, the horse never showed, but that was Cape Town. This is Durban. I think Silver Operator is a good runner at a very decent price. There's a horse called Cold Fact that's also coming for a bit of money, and at the weights is probably the best rated runner in the race, because there's for guys out there that don't understand too much about the racing, there's plated races, handicaps, and whatever. And in terms of this race, the post-merge and cold fact is rated the horse to beat, based just on ability and weight. So if it runs to its correct ability and correct weight, and nobody else runs to their ability, it'll win. So I like the horse. I like 5 and 6, and I definitely like the 11 Sergio. I think it's a massive runner.
Right, I'm just going to put that banner over Chris's face before we get into the 10th to remind you that if you make a comment in the live chat, you'll be entered into the draw. There's still 2 100 Rand vouchers to do towards the end of the show. But Chris, it's the big one. Well, certainly as far as you're concerned, it's race number 10. And I'm going to bring up the betting there now and let you take us away on this one. You, of course, have got an interest in Royal Victory. But Silvano's Dasher, the favourite here at 7-2.
Yeah, Brent, this is a really open race, and this is not in the pick 6, but it is in jackpot 2, which I believe has got a carryover, and they're expecting a big pull for jackpot 3. It will be races 9, 10, 11. Yeah, and you really need to go wide, and there's Quasi for Sure, and there's Silvano's Dasher, and there's Forever Mine, Mike the Cox, and there's loads and loads of horses there that could have a chance. And what I would say about our runner, Royal Victory, unfortunately, we're drawn 14 out of 14, which we'd rather not have been, but you can draw a line through his last run. He was nowhere near fit. It was a prep run. He wasn't harshly treated by his jock. He's working well, and he's got graded form, and he's now in a listed handicap. If we get the run of the race, big runner. And at 16-1, 14-1, there's a chance there. There's a chance.
Excellent. I can't wait for this. It should come directly after I back the winner of the stage 1 of the Tour de France, Chris, and I can fly into Royal Victory now. But let's get Jason's views on this one.
I'm going to take a quartet boxed, and my triple floating bankers are going to be 12, 13, and 14. I think Royal Victory is the horse to beat. I think the price is totally wrong. I do respect the horse called Look for Hounds. I'm worried about the 1,600 meters. But if it was over 1,400 meters, I'd make that the horse to beat. But he put up a very good gallop with his stablemate on last Thursday, and Quasi for Sure. A mate of mine, Miles Brackett's horse, they really think a lot of this horse, and they just need something to change for it. So for me, the race is between 12, 13, and 14. But I can state this openly and honestly, and as my mom's my witness, I'm hoping 14 wins it.
Yeah, thank you, Jason. I think Quasi for Sure is a big danger, and to be honest, they'll be coming from everywhere. But yeah, Quasi for Sure, a big danger, yeah.
They'll be coming in from everywhere, but Royal Victory to mow them down in the final 200 meters. And yeah, we'll all be going absolutely mad. Right, you've got 2 more races. We certainly will. Chris, I've no doubt by then you would have had a few beers in you from the day's proceedings as well.
Chris, are you going? Chris, are you going down to the course, or are you watching?
No, we're not going to go to this one, Jason. Look, we weren't sure we were going to run on July Day. We were hoping originally we might get a run in the July, but the boy had a problem with his preparation. Yeah. And, booking flights in advance is the big thing. And then when you find out you're going to get a run, I'll see you there Gold Cup Day if you're down in KZN, mate.
No, perfect. We'll try and make a trip down there. Remember, I'm a Gauteng boy these days, and I just need a TV and a lot of good beer around me and a lot of good family, and then I'm happy.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, we might be down there, KZN for Gold Cup, but no, we'll be watching at home. I'll be cheering on with my mates and my family, and we're gonna have a good day. Yeah.
Maybe what we should do for that
do
race
the 11th race
is
now, guys, and then after that, I'm going to do the final draw. Sorry, Jason.
No, I'm saying maybe the 3 of us plus Ellen should actually do a live video call and just watch the race together. That I think to bring a bit of luck to the team. Let's try something different.
We could certainly do it. I can tell you that I won't be alone, as Chris says as well, because we always do a July Day with my family. So we do massive draws. I've got my son has now turned 18, and all of his him and his mates have all opened bloody online gambling accounts. I don't think that's necessarily a great thing. But the point is they're actually very excited for the July as well. So that might be a great idea. We could actually live stream it. I can tell you I'm going to be going absolutely ballistic. There's no doubt about that. I'll be going ballistic in the July and also in the 10th race. But let's get into race 11 now. And Jason, I'll start with you. Alan just saying, sorry, mates, internet disaster. Maybe you can win a 100 Rand Hollywood voucher there, Al. I don't know how much that is in pounds. Not a hell of a lot, but we'll see how that goes. But Jason, the 11th race, anything catch your eye there? We've got the favorite Valeria's Dream here trading as 4-1.
Firstly, I think Alan should send us all £1,000 voucher from overseas for internet showing. Listen, guys, this, it's a very open card. I'm looking for value. I'm with the 11K lean. I think this with Rachel Vinegar up, I think this is the horse to beat. I'm looking what I've marked, and I must be honest, I've just marked this horse. If you're looking, also it depends on how Hollywood have done on the day. They always seem to have a winner on these big days. So then you look at a horse called what's this called? Asia Pambile with number 5. I think that's a runner, and then maybe even Valerian Dream. If you look at the strike rate for Richard Faree and Mr. Muscat, it's phenomenal. So I'll be looking around those 3 horses. I've got no real standout bets in that race right now, but I will be taking a second jackpot for the 2 million Rand pool. But I'll definitely be leaning towards Kayleen, the 4 Valerian Dream, and then BS Pambile from the Hollywood Syndicate.
Well, if Alan is still watching the live chat, Jason's asking there if you fancy anything else on the day. Right, Chris, let's get your comments on the 11th before we do the final draw. It is your last chance. If you haven't got a comment on the live chat, do so now and you can get into the draw. I see we've just had a few more people join. So, yes, get any comment on. Just tell us your winner of the July, whatever, and you'll go into the draw for the final 2 vouchers. But, Chris, race 11 from you.
Yeah, pretty much aligned with Jason in terms of like Kayleen had some really, really impressive 2-year-old form from what I remember. And, it's been coming down the handicaps and then starting to go back up again in pressing. I like it. Isaiah Pambile, if I've pronounced that right. And that would be my first choice. But on the polytrack for the last 2 races, and we're under lights and whatever, there's scope for a surprise. But they would be the 2 that I would work around. And I prefer Isaiah Pambile.
Right, well, Alan is come back again. Al, let's see if we're going to come right this time. We got Jody Pino who's coming in as number 6 for the July. But Al, we almost at the 12th race now. But what do you fancy? Maybe take us through just the card that we've covered so far. Just take us through your fancies. We will bring up your banner at the end of the show as well.
Yeah, I think Al should just keep his head bobbing so that he knows that we know he's still there.
We know he's there. That's it.
Yeah. It's Murphy's Law. It's been brilliant all day, and yeah. So anyway, the last race, Faithful Day, is by sort of Get Out Stakes runner. It's one I've backed a few times, so I think it's about 12-1 in the last. That's like a desperate bet towards the end of the day, but knocking on the door, that one running on the last few runs, think it could pop up in the last of the day. I've got a couple of others, earlier in the card, and if you've obviously gone through, I've missed all of that, but just I'll skim through them. Race 5, Egyptian Male. I think I've got to take on the odds-on favourite. I like that one. It took on the boys, took on Lucky Lad, who I think is a star in the making last time out. So 14-1 each way is a bit of value there. Feather Boa, I think, is a top-class filly. Takes on 2 very short prize favourites. In Desert Miracle and the odds-on favourite, which names eludes me at the moment.
Princess Keller,
who goes back up to a mile after being over the sprints for a while. So I like those. These are all good prices. They're all double-figure prices. And the only other one I had, Cosmic Highway. It's more of a loyalty bet, to be honest. It comes off a break, race 9. Back over sprints, just a horse I always rated. It's had some issues. I don't think comes into July Day if it's not fit. So I'm putting some faith in the Canamere yard, a yard that it's always been good to me, that they have it fit on the day. 10-1 again, no harm at that price.
Right, and just a reminder, Alan does post his picks in the Good for the Game forum. So if you go into goodforthegame.co.za, hit the forum tab at the top there, and you can look for the racing one where our Durban July thread is also always nice and busy. We've got a nice core group of of horse racing punters, but they're joined by other sort of once a year punters like myself on July Day. Right, let's pop to the top there quickly. Jason, get your comment on the 12th race, and then we'll get Chris's, and then we'll sort of do the draw and then some final wrap. So, Jason, the 12th for you?
12th for me, it's a 2-horse race. USA's Hope. And it also depends on how well these jockeys have done during the day to see how well they want to ride in the 12th race. And let's be fair, it's one of those days where you if you win the July, you're overly excited. The rest of the day is, I won't say meaningless, but it does affect you. I think USA Hope is the horse to beat. But for me, the other horse in the race that really needs to be considered, besides our friend Alan's Fateful Day, is a horse called Former Gear. I think this horse's ratings dropped down to 87, went back up to a 90 last time out. But I think this horse will be running on as hard as it can and represents good value in the race. So for me, I'm going to be probably floating 2 and let's get greedy. Let's go 2, 7, and 10 in a quartet with a few other horses.
Right, and Chris, you can bring the curtain down on the 12th race.
I'll go Turpits, but very tentative selection, Brent, because never been on the poly before. But that would
I'll race you for a whiskey.
Yeah. We will meet one day and we'll have that whiskey either way.
He's still waiting for me to buy my lunch.
It's actually 2, Brent, but we won't go there.
Okay.
Excellent. Well, gents, let's quickly do the draw, then we'll just get final thoughts and final wraps. It'll just take me a second. I've just got to share the screen. We've had a few more people come in. We've got 2 100 Rand vouchers still to give away. I'm going to share the screen now, and don't get excited when you see your name there again, Quinn. That was obviously the winner of the last draw, and we're going to draw now again, and we've got two to draw. We've got 16 entries in here. Good for the game won't count.
And Southpaw.
Here we go. Jody. Oh no, Southpaw. Southpaw's in a South. Do you want to take your prize? Are you still able to bet from there, or do you want to push back into the pool?
Back into the pool.
Back into the pool. Right. We've still got 2. We've still got 2 to go. Let's go. 15 left that can get this. I'm betting on Good for the Game here. I've just got a feeling.
I'm going Mavis.
Oh, Pressure Nika. Email me, Brent at goodforthegame.co.za, and I'll let you know how to claim your Hollywood voucher. Just to mention, they will only be credited after the July, more than likely. Hollywood are absolutely crazy this week. Right, we've got 1 more to go, and let's see who's going to join the other 4 winners.
Come on, Mavis.
Yeah, Mavis, come on. Annaline Chattier, you are the 5th and final winner
done,
there
Annaline.
of our. Yeah, brilliant work there, Annaline. So well done to all the winners. As I said, guys, you can email me on Brent at goodforthegame.co.za, and we'll make a plan. And guys, it's been great. As Jason said, it hasn't been the simplest of shows with Wi-Fi's, and Chris, as I say, can vouch for the fact that it's just been one of those days for us with all sorts of things. But I think we've kind of got it together. We got some good bets out there. I'm getting very, very excited for July Day. Alan, let me start with you then. First of all, thanks for your persistence in getting back into the show. But if you got 1 bet, I'll tell you, Alan, you've only got 1 bet you can place. Let's say you can bet one bet on the July, and you can bet 1 bet on any of the other races. What are your 2 bets then that you'd place?
July, I'll go each way, Pomp and Power, and then on the undercard, I will go each way, Egyptian Mao.
Right, excellent. Chris, yourself, same question. Let me rephrase it. Give me your July bet and your race number 10 bet. In fact, I'll actually speak for Chris. Winchester Hills is in the July, and Royal Victory in the 10th. Am I right?
We know where we're going with Royal Victory. Yeah. Win Royal Victory in number 10, and in the July, I'll go Winchester Mansion.
Excellent. And then just before I go to Jason, just thanks to everyone who contributed in the live chat. As Peter Paul said, some nice new names coming up there. Obviously, we don't do a lot of horse racing, so great that everyone came in. It's not easy to get the word out there to the horse racing community. And Jason, we'll finish off with you, one in the July and one on the balance of the card.
Before I answer the question, Brent, am I allowed to mention a different betting company's name?
Yes, no problem. You can.
Okay. The reason I say this is because I've just noticed during the week that Betway have actually come up with a very good marketing strategy. When you have a bet on a horse with normal bookmakers, you lose your 6%. They are now covering your 6%. So it's like having a sports bet now. So if you have 100 rand on a team at 20-1, you win your $2,000. Horses, you normally lose your 6%. Their new strategy is now they're going to cover that 6%. So just for the punters out there that are looking for a little bit of extra value, obviously the likes of Hollywood, fantastic in the industry and leaders in the industry. But I thought it's just pertinent to mention for guys that are out there that are always looking to make your extra couple of rand here and there. That Betway, if you back a winning horse now, you don't lose your 6%. They actually cover it for you. I think that's fair. For me, the two bets that I would select out of what I sent you, which I'm having a look at my phone on right now, I'm going Dave the King in the July, and it's a toss-up, but I'm shouting for our friend Royal Victory, but I actually think race 4 Salvatore Munde is a massive runner, so I'm going to go each way both of those. Salvatore Munde race 4, Dave the King race 7.
Excellent. Thanks, Jason. Thanks, everyone. Yes, I also noticed that on Betway, and I did speak to them. It's something I think that's going to be, at the moment, is sort of, let's just say there's a few approvals and a few hoops for them to jump through before they can publicize that properly, but it certainly is going to be good. And I guess what will happen...
It's been live for 3 days. I asked them today.
Yes.
Hence why
it's live. It's on their site. But, I guess what's going to happen, though, is that there's a good chance other bookmakers, will, if it's successful for them, it kind of puts a bit of pressure on the other bookies to follow the lead. So that can only be good for punters at the end of the day. I must say, as a sports punter, it is one of the things that does annoy me about racing. When you win your 1,000 rand, you only win 940, that type of thing. So, very good one. But anyway, thanks to everyone in the live chat. Alan, Chris, Jason, I know yours was a surprise visit here. But thanks very much, guys. It was a great show. We can't wait for the July. Catch us on the Good for the Game forum and on Twitter, where we'll have some more fancies. I'm going to be following these boys. I like to make up my own mind with sport. When it comes to the July, I'm more than happy to follow the guys on screen. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, Ben, and thanks especially to Alan and Jason, who give up their time to come on these shows.
No, excellent, lovely boys. And Jason is going to he's going to give away. I think you said two balls. Did you say at Kalani?
Yeah, two ball vouchers. So let's do it this way, Brent. The guys that comment online and on your show, the first two that Jace, comment.
If you're okay with it, we'll give it away. We'll give it a bit of thought, because a lot of guys don't also watch to the end of the show now, and then we got another show coming on Friday. We can perhaps do it then in the live show,
or just post it on the forum on the live
on
July.
The forum. No, lekker. We'll touch that, but watch out, guys. We're going to have those two balls coming up. But thanks, everyone. Great having you all on the show. Can't wait for Saturday, and go the Durban July and go Royal Victory.